Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel, where we bring you critical and in-depth reviews of just about every indie game we can get our hands on, and today we're going to be taking a look at Pixboy for the Nintendo Switch. And while I would normally call Pixboy a pretty classic retro arcade game, according to the developers, I'd actually be wrong, because this game was made not to be reminiscent of early handheld consoles, but early handheld phones. So going back to the early days of the Nokia brick and games like Centipede and Frogger, which in all honesty didn't start on cell phones either, Pixboy is supposed to grab us by the cellular feels and throw us back into the early 2000s. And surprisingly enough, there's actually a pretty cute little story for this 40-level long platformer. But as it's only represented in the visuals, we have to assume that maybe as the player you're a scientist who's invented some sort of chemical and it was stolen by a pack of dogs. And so either to catch the dogs or just get back the formula or see what happened to them after they drank it, you'll have to platform your way through 10 different levels in each of the 4 worlds, circumventing traps and trouncing squishy enemies, and actually engaging in the occasional boss fight. The gameplay in Pixboy is exactly what you would expect from an early classic platformer. You'll be able to jump, and early on you get access to a slingshot, and other than avoiding the occasional spike trap, it'll be up to you to platform your way from point A to point B in every room-style level. Reminiscent of typical mobile games, there are categorical scores between 1 and 3 stars for, as you might be able to guess, collecting all the coins in the level, collecting all the hidden items in a level, and finishing the level within a certain time. Each of these, of course, establishes your individual score for the level, but they also work towards a running score multiplier that allows you to purchase new visuals for the game. And with dozens of different visual aesthetics to choose from, everything from the early Genesis consoles to the standard TI-86 calculator, you'll probably be able to pretty quickly unlock any color scheme that suits your palette. As you make your way through Pixboy, though, each of the 4 worlds has much more to offer than just its individual colored theme. Each of the new worlds is fairly unique, introducing a handful of new enemies and a handful of new environmental hazards. Platforming elements also get slightly more intricate as you go, leading up to every world's boss fight. One of the cool things about the boss fights in Pixboy is that it diverts completely from the standard platforming genre. In the general gameplay, you'll be jumping over spike traps, jumping on top of enemies to refill your slingshot, and occasionally trying to find a key to open a door to move on. And while you are given a couple lives to restart from checkpoints within the game to help you preserve some of your progress should you die, the boss fights turn the game into a complete 180. There are checkpoints, and though you are still platforming, it's more of a runner-style genre. And so while still only having 3 lives, you'll have to do your best to quickly memorize the route in order to make it to the end of the level before that powered-up pupper chews you a new one. The visuals in the game, as we've already said, are a truly retro aesthetic, and though they did go for the more of a Nokia-style cell phone aesthetic, they totally could have taken it all the way back and gone full-on Game Boy. But hey, those kind of developer choices are actually one of the things that makes indie gaming so unique and so easy to fall in love with. The sound scheme of the game also is very well done and very reminiscent, with its kinda chippy music that just does really help engross you in the nostalgia factor. As far as critiques of the game go, there really aren't that many to talk about. It's a mobile-style, simple point A, point B platformer, with apparently about 140 hidden rooms throughout the entire 40-level game. And so, yeah, thankfully you can go back and play levels individually because it's impossible to actually get all 3 stars in one pass. Because if you are hunting for the collectibles, there's no way you're going to beat it on time, and that actually is something that some players might see as a critique. There is actually no way to do a perfect run of a single level. But other than that, in all honesty, there's really not much that you can call into question. The game knows exactly what it wants to be, and it pretty much nails that. It's not meant to have a huge engrossing story, it's not meant to have super intricate platforming, even though arguably some of the platforming is pretty good and a little bit challenging. And all in all, looking back on it as a total experience, I'd say probably the only people who are into platforming that wouldn't enjoy playing through Pixboy are probably gamers who are more into the Metroidvania style of platforming, or people who just really aren't a fan of the retro aesthetic. But one thing that might be just worth note from my own personal experience with the game is its difficulty curve. Looking at the game in total, it does seem to be a pretty fair and gradual difficulty curve, but looking from level to level, the difficulty actually does jump up and then fall pretty quickly. And so unfortunately that does mean that some of the earlier puzzles are actually a lot more difficult than some of the later ones. But then again, you do have 3 lives, there are checkpoints, and a game over just means you start that level over again, not the whole world. So even with the occasional difficulty spike, it does seem like the developers tried to make it fair. So if you are a fan of platformers, a fan of mobile challenge games, or even a puzzle platforming fan, Pixboy might be one that you'd want to have on your list. It's got a fair amount of challenge, and for the price it actually offers a fair amount of gameplay. But anyway, that does about wrap it up for the review of Pixboy now on the Nintendo Switch. So if you enjoyed the review, or especially if you found it helpful, feel free to throw us a comment or a like to show your support. And don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. There are new and unique indies coming out literally every single day, and whether it's a hard pass or an unforgettable gem, chances are, if it's on the eShop, you're going to find out about it right here. But anyway, this has been The Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.